All right, so hello everybody. We should be live now. I hope I've got everything piped through okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We are Heroes Without Limits, and we are here for episode 1 of our run of the module Death House from Curse of Strahd. Um, Now, before we, get into things too much, I just want to say hello. My name is Sam. I go by she, they pronouns, and I will be the dungeon master for today. If you are new to Heroes Without Limits, we are a channel and streaming community that is dedicated to improving and increasing representation and awareness of chronically ill, disabled, and neurodivergent gamers. So all of our streams are DM'd and played entirely by disabled, chronically ill, and or neurodivergent casts and game runners, and I'm so excited to have all of these lovely faces here with us today and all of these amazing human beings to play with us. Just a couple of quick housekeeping things. Before we get started, I do want to give a content warning to anybody tuning in who has not played or seen a Death House module before or a Curse of Strahd game. If you are brand new to it, it is a sort of gothic horror vampire inspired game. It is pretty, grimdark. It's kind of gritty. I do want to warn anybody watching that there is potentially triggering content in here. There is some content sort of central to the module plot that does feature child neglect, abuse, and death. So if that is something that is difficult for you, this may not be the game for you to join us for. Totally fine. We will not take any offense. We want everybody here, our viewers and players, to be comfortable and feel as safe as you can in the Mists of Barovia. Now, hold on, let me just adjust a camera here real quick. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. Aha! Alright, so, in addition to that, just speaking of comfort and such, I do want to just let everybody watching know that we have gone over safety tools as a cast. It is very important to us here on the channel that everybody feels safe and comfortable playing in our games. And it's so important that safety tools are something that become, I think, a standardized aspect of tabletop RPGs. We implement lines and veils as well as red and yellow cards. I do know that at Kiana S over on Twitter has a couple of safety tool kits for TTRPGs that are free and super awesome, and you should take a look at those. Let's see, I do also just want to let everybody know that we will be having a break about an hour through the game, so around 7:15 or so, we'll take a break so everybody can stretch, hydrate, take your meds, whatever you gotta do. Alright, now let's just get started real quick with we'll go around, introduce our cast and our players. I want everybody to just tell us your name, where we can find you online, tell us your character name, race, and class. If there's anything you want to share about your disabilities or other conditions or any charities that you want to promote, feel free. Let's start to my right with Angela.
Hello there, everybody. It's a pleasure to be joining this cast with a wonderful group of fellow disabled folk. This is the first time I've ever gotten to be a group that's entirely self-identifying as such, and I love it. So you can find me over on frequently on many games at the Welcome to the Party community. Over there, I am a DM for the Adventures in Ugni All POC campaign on Saturday evenings, and I'm also a player on Friday nights for the Let Sleeping Angels Lie campaign that's all Celestial themed, where I am playing a Dragonborn there. But here, I am playing a Firbolg Grave Cleric named Ania. She shares the same pronouns that I have, so she, her, they, them, and I deal with chronic depression, pretty much PTSD. Yeah, PTSD, not pretty much. Words are hard. And anxiety and eating disorder related issues. But I think that covers everything on my end, and I'm looking forward to this game.
Awesome. Let's go down then, over to Vince.
All right. My name is Vince. You can find me on Twitter at Dichotomous Prime. I am an aspiring tabletop game designer. I am a professional GM for hire. And today, pronouns. I use he, him pronouns. and my character today should be the goblin wizard, Yup Nub Mo Snub. He uses the same caption pronouns as well. He's very excited and very nervous for this, as he right well should be. So the things that I tend to deal with are ADHD, body dysmorphia stuff, and associated anxiety and depression related issues as well. And I believe that's me. So
Awesome, thank you so much. And we'll keep going that way with Amy. Tell us about you and your character.
Hi, I'm super excited to be here. I'm Amy. You can find me at AmyLiz_W on Twitter. I post art sometimes and cosplay stuff. Yeah, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS, and I worked a little bit of that into my character that I'll be playing today. Their name is Vermilion, and they are a very slinky, sneaky tabaxi rogue.
I love them already. I have a soft spot for tabaxis. All right, awesome. Anna, tell us a bit about you and Saoirse?
Yes. Sorry, the spelling is awkward.
I will get it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anna, and I use she, they pronouns. You can find me mostly on Twitter at Nymeria941. I make a lot of content on YouTube about books, board games, and tabletop RPGs. I also co-host and co-founded the Disability Readathon there, and I work with folks at ASL for RPG to make RPGs more accessible to deaf and hard of hearing people. As far as my things go, I am autistic, and I also have a couple of other like chronic illness type things that cause different symptoms like pain, autoimmune symptoms, and things like that. And I have anxiety, depression, PTSD. And my character today is Saoirse, the human warlock with a unicorn patron, who is also autistic like myself. And yeah, I am really excited to play her. It's going to be great.
I'm so excited. All right, and last but most certainly not least, we have Tyler. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and the lovely Ginger Snap?
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm your obligatory technical issue goblin this time around. I am blind, not totally blind, but nearly blind, legally, visually impaired. And I have a couple other things beyond that that I'm not really comfortable talking about yet, but definitely close to the mental illness and neurodivergence areas. And today I am playing Ginger Snap, a halfling cleric of Chauntea, and she is channeling some of my nervous energy, and she, unlike me, is very loud and obnoxious, and that may or may not have led her off into adventure. But she's kind of motherly and cares about everybody and good food and cheering people up.
Yes, quintessential halfling. I love it. In case you can't tell, I am also very partial to halflings. So awesome. I guess just real quick then, I'm Sam. You can find me at samwise_gameg, where I yell about ableism and D&D stuff. I myself have ankylosing spondylitis as well as Crohn's disease, and I have an ileostomy. So I live with an ostomy bag. And I guess that's pretty much it. Today I do want to note that we have actually just begun a charity drive for the month of October here at Heroes Without Limits. We've decided moving forward we want to try to feature like different charities every month and just sort of keep like a running goal throughout our streams to try to, raise a little bit of money for some good causes. This month we are supporting Take This, which is a nonprofit organization that is focused on helping gamers to find mental health resources and to work on destigmatizing mental illness. So I know at least a week of October, I think it's next week, is in America at least, is a Mental Health Awareness Week, I believe. At least that's what some website online informed me. So we decided to just sort of make that our focus this whole month, and we want to try to raise some great funds funds to help out this charity. If you go to conventions, I believe Take This is actually one of those charities that helps to organize quiet rooms for convention goers and things like that. So they definitely do some great work, and there is a command to take you to donate if you are interested. It is !donate. And I think with that, that is all the housekeeping business that we have for today. All right, so now we can get started. All right. Whew. So your party has traveled rather far today, actually, making your way south from the large city of Waterdeep towards the town of Daggerford, where you've been hired to pick up some supplies and bring back to the city. The end of summer is here. The night is still and quite warm, and it's no longer quite as stifling now that the sun is beginning to set. You all hear crickets begin to come out and chirp, the scent of green leaves and warm soil fills the air around you. Your party moves just off the road, keeping the path still in sight, and you set up camp for the evening. I would like everybody to give us some physical descriptions about your characters, and if you'd like, tell us a little bit about what they do in the evening before you all take your night's rest. You know, if you have any sort of maybe prayer work that the clerics do, or try to commune with your patron, or anything that you care to do, or any discussions that you care to have before sleep. As we go around, just to describe your characters and what they're doing, we're going to go in the opposite direction this time, so we're going to start with Tyler. Or should I say Ginger Snap?
Well, Ginger Snap is probably going through her pack, getting some snacks that she's cultivated from the road. Depending on how long we've been traveling, she's probably been taking care of that for the party. She's kind of a plump halfling, brown skin, reddish-brown, curly, messy hair. Average height for a halfling. But her kind of naturey, druidic appearance is kind of offset by her very obvious chainmail armor, like metal chainmail, metal shield, and she looks kind of unused to it. And she probably wouldn't take a whole lot of time to pray at night, but she still has a good connection with her deity, and probably just preparing food.
What's her favorite food to prepare? She have like a dish that she likes to feed people?
Anything that nope, anything she can find on the road.
Love it. It's just like some mysterious gumbo of like stuff in a stew pot. It actually smells pretty good. Everybody else is probably a little bit surprised at how delicious the stew smells that this little halfling has started to put together. Okay, so Saoirse, tell us about how you look and, you know, what you might be doing this evening.
All right, so I am about 5'6", also rather plump lady in a sort of a long red dress with long sleeves. I also have red hair that is kind of just loose around my face, not fixed in any particular way. And the dress looks like it's really just more for comfort and function over anything else. It has some little bits and pieces of like reinforced leather that looks like maybe, you know, it's supposed to provide some protection and support and stuff like that, sewn into various strategic areas of it. And it definitely looks like a dress that's of a like finer quality, but I haven't done too much work keeping it looking nice, if that makes sense. And yeah, right around this time, I would be probably helping, you know, pitch tents and stuff like that. And I am also stimming. I have like a little, it looks kind of like a friendship bracelet, but it has a sort of like lilac colored hair woven throughout the threads.
Ooh.
So yeah, twirling that a little bit.
Okay. Love it. Vermilion, what do the other characters see as they get ready for the evening?
So Vermilion is a tabaxi, but styled more like a serval. So very tall ears that go straight up, kind of a small face, big eyes, but they're all black. And in the light, sometimes like there's a shimmer and you can see the spots are sort of silvery, but it's still all black. They wear leather armor that's been dyed black. It's very supple, and they wear like quite a fancy vest over top in dark reds and purples with like a brocade sort of, elegant looking. They would be kind of lurking around the edges of the camp, keeping an eye out, keeping to the shadows, just making sure everybody is safe as they eat and gather around the fire.
Love it. Okay, Yubnub, what do you look like and what are you doing as your evening activity?
Well, I've got some rather road-worn wizard robes that kind of pool around my feet a little bit, and the shoes that I have toes that curl back in on themselves, and I usually have a quite styled and curled mustache at either end. One might be unclear on whether or not it is actually wax that is being used, or whether or not it's just random detritus from being on the road that's being used to keep it at such a fine point on either end. I usually have what one might think of as a safari hat on that is rather shading myself from any kind of the elements, and I am currently taking notes for my newest compendium on the different ways that adventurers use their spirituality and their religious beliefs to cope with the various different stresses of the world while on adventures. And wondering where that rogue went. It seemed to be patrolling around somewhere. Well, never mind. Notes need be taken. And that's what I'm doing. So
I love him. All right, and Ania, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So Ania, what are you up to? And what do you look like?
So Ania is, on average furbolgs, I think, tend to be around like 7 feet tall. So she's short for a furbolg, but she's still taller than everyone else at around 6.5 foot tall. She has very deep brown skin with similarly deep brown, almost blackish curled hair, like with a lot of different ringlets in it. But I'd say kind of the pallor to her skin and like general like coloration is kind of like, she has the look of someone who probably used to love being out in nature but hasn't been outside in about 3 weeks for a lot of different reasons. So she's kind of like pale, but not because her actual skin is. She wears sort of to compensate for the scale armor that she used to have but didn't care for very much. She has her own sort of homemade, almost like bark skin armor that is cracked and segmented in various pieces so that it still has the same kind of scale armor segmentation and style to it. She has a relatively comfortable, simple set of like pants, sort of cotton pants to keep her warm, a long sort of heavy staff that sort of functions for her mace, and a set of bindings around her around her wrists. And oddly enough, her arms are entirely bare, and you can see there's a lot of different cuts and scrapes along it that appear to have been self-inflicted. But there's a holy symbol around her neck that appears to look like a set of bound hands with cloth tied around them. And she's probably just like looking, I'm imagining almost directly where the rogue is, where Vermilion is. Like Yubnub has no idea where Vermilion is, and like Ania's like been tracking them the entire time. But she's like slowly setting out a few bowls of the soup and like smelling it, tasting it, and then like adding a pinch of a couple things just to make it a little bit more of a zest to it. But yeah, that's Ania.
I love her. Amazing. All right, so as you are all getting your meals together, Vermilion, roll me a perception check while you're, patrolling and keeping an eye out on things.
Ooh, first roll.
First roll!
21.
21. Excellent. So you take a look, prowling around sort of like just outside the light of the campfire that Ginger Snap and Ania are sort of huddling over, maybe bickering a little bit about like how many seasonings that Ania is adding into the stew or something. So Vermilion, as you take a look outward, you don't see, any sign of other people around. You catch some small movements out in the brush and hear some skittering of tiny, rodent feet as the night animals are beginning to come out. But as you look around and as the sun sets, you see that it does look like a fog is beginning to creep in as maybe some clouds are coming in from the horizon in the distance. It doesn't look like storm weather, but it does look like maybe the really nice weather that you have all had for your travel so far might be coming to an end.
Okay. Vermilion's not too worried.
Excellent. So, Vermilion, continues her watch. Sorry, I'm just fixing a cam thing real quick. This is also, apologies in advance. This is the first stream that I am also running tech for while I DM. So if I'm, all over the place, well, that might be why. Alright. So as the evening, sets in, you all go to sleep. And the sounds of crickets chirping slowly lull you all to rest, perhaps dreaming of this day's travels or the plans that you have once you reach Daggerfall, or maybe what you're going to do with the bag of gold that you'll get once you return to Waterdeep successfully with your goods. The morning dawns cold and overcast. Vermilion, you see that the fog from the evening before has fully set in now, and this is the first time that any of the rest of the party has seen this fog either. The air it's a very thick fog. It looks much thicker now than what you were seeing the sort of tendrils sneaking towards you of the night before. The air is sort of milky white, and it's difficult to see more than maybe 15 or 20 feet out from you. The air smells different this morning as well. It smells cooler. You smell almost the decay of fall rather than the more verdant summer forest that you smelled just the night before. Everybody make me a perception check. Wisdom perception.
Ooh.
Gonna be a
6.
12 on my end.
12 for
Also
any,
a 6.
6. Oof.
That will be an 18 plus 0, so that would be an 18.
18. Nice. All right. Well, it looks like we lost Tyler for a second, so I'll just make a flat roll for Ginger. Okay, that is a 10, so she probably doesn't. Let me see. Let me double check what I
am
wrote here.
frantically putting my books into my bag. I don't want any of these pages to be inundated by this humidity like they've been before.
Yeah, it does feel. You do feel the fog almost cling to you, and it feels sort thick and just unpleasant. You almost feel like it's slimy, even though, if you touch yourself, there's not actually anything there. However, Yebnub, as you're packing your books hurriedly into your bag, the not sudden, but the definite silence of the forest around you suddenly seems loud. You realize now that you don't hear the sounds of crickets or morning birds chirping. You don't hear anything but the sounds of your pages being jammed into your bag and, maybe the stifled yawns of your companions as they still clamber out of their bedrolls.
I attempt to pop my ears a few times to see if I might not have had something go into my ear canal, but it happened one time.
You try and pop your ears and nothing happens. You realize you're not even at an elevation right now where that should be a problem.
Ah, yes, right. The outdoors. I forget about that sometimes. Is anyone else seeing that it's rather quiet this morning? Morning? Is there a sunrise, or is it just kind of we're aware of the passage of time, but it's still crappy?
You can see, if you look up at the sky, it's cloudy and overcast. Through the fog, it's hard to see anything, but you do see what you think is a slightly brighter part of the sky where the sun probably is. It's just very obscured.
It's, a little bit quiet. Is anyone else noticing that a little bit strange?
I kind of like it, but I can see why that would be unnerving.
Do not love this weather. Vermilion is grooming their fur constantly because it just feels damp all the time.
I don't. This could be a bit difficult for us finding our way to wherever we need to get to. If folks wouldn't mind, and sort of use right hand for the shield, left hand for the sword. Sort of just taps the floor a little bit, and you see from like a streak of sort of red like liquid that almost looks like blood coming out of her wrists emanate out and coat the top part of the mace, but it's a cane that she's using, and she's going to cast light so that we have a little bit more.
I love it. So you cast light, and kind of like, you know, when you turn your headlights on in a fog, the light just disperses and sort of refracts through the fog, and it's now a very brightly lit and, you know, sort of pink fog, because you have this light has kind of a red tint to it through that casting. But it doesn't actually help you see further at all. You just sort of see the fog more. However, based on those perception checks, I'd say still only Yub-Nub. Actually, what was your perception check, Ania?
It was 12.
12? So
And I had a
Ania...
passive of 14.
Okay, then yeah, Ania and Yub-Nub do see that about 15-20 feet away from the party, there is a dirt road that looks, you know, that's the one that you folks left the night before.
Unless anyone else is opposed, I don't really know another direction to go aside from what we were doing before. So, does anyone want to go back to the road?
It seems to be the most sensible. I'd rather not go crashing around trees and bushes if it's all the same to everybody else.
Sounds excellent to me. And now we have this beautiful atmosphere. Thank you, Ania.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Depending on if folks would like to wait for a little bit, I could try and give us another little bit of vision around us, just in case, if we're particularly paranoid at this moment. But as of now, nothing too dangerous seems around, but this doesn't seem natural.
If you would like, you could make a nature check.
I will do just that.
Oh, I am actually. Oh, wait, no, I'm not, but
That is
does it matter?
this is-
Or can I
No.
attempt an intelligence check
That
for
is a
this?
2.
That is a
Oh.
2. Alright, so yeah, you're pretty sure this is just like a really intense fog. Yub-Nub, if you would like, you could actually make an Arcana check to determine whether there's anything magical about this fog.
Right. That would be a 6.
A 6.
Yes.
You know, outside things aren't really your expertise, so
Yes,
you're not sure if
really.
it's... Yeah.
Strangeness. All right, well, I start storming off into the bush through the road, and I have a quarterstaff with me, but I'm so short that the moment that I go into the bush, there's just like a shark's fin of a quarterstaff, kind of like, well, off to adventure then, I suppose, and just come. Boom, 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 boom.
I love it.
I think we'd best follow him, otherwise we might lose track of him.
Yes, agreed. I'll also, I have the little bracelet that I'm wearing. I'll cast light, and so it'll just kind of glow faintly, like a little glow stick, just so we have another point of reference.
Excellent. So the party gathers your things, and you hurry off after this little shape of Yub-Nub you see moving through the brush back towards the road. You see just like the staff and maybe the very top of his safari helmet, like bouncing along as he treks through. You make your way to the dirt road. It looks pretty much the same as the one before, you know, from the night that you were on the night before. You know, maybe you take a look and try to remember which way it was that you came from. I'll say, actually, Ginger's the... Ooh, okay, so I had Ginger roll just a survival, because I don't know, nature cleric, that seems like... Or not nature cleric, but Chantea cleric, that seems like it fits. But that's a natural 17, so Ginger Snap looks around, and, you know, she sees the sun. She goes, okay, I think we gotta go this way to get to Daggerford. And she starts trekking off towards the left. Does everybody follow?
Yes. Does it look like this is an area that does it look like we were walking in circles or something, or?
As you look around the road, it doesn't look like you were necessarily walking in circles, but, actually I'm gonna say that you folks don't even need to roll for it right now. Once you get a couple of feet down the road, it suddenly strikes you all that these are not the same types of trees that you were around the night before. You realize that that sort of like more temperate summer smell has given way to a more piney sort of autumnal scent, and you look around and you realize that the trees around you are stripped of their leaves, and the ones that still cling to the branches are dried and brown now, and there's a lot of pine trees interspersed. And as you make your way down the road, it looks like the trees along the sides get thicker and closer together, and they seem to block more and more of the light that's already very muffled from up above you. You make your way down the road for probably about an hour before you begin to see what looks like the faint shapes of dark buildings popping up through the fog. The dirt road beneath your feet also begins to give way to a crunching gravel, and you make your way in towards this village. You look around and you see tall, thin, narrow houses and shops. Some of them are, nestled very close together, but everything is dark and silent as tombstones as you walk through, and just these walls seem to come up around you. You enter the town. You realize that everything looks like it seems like everything is boarded up. There's no light sneaking through from anything. You look at the sky, you realize it's still pretty early morning, even though it's very overcast. You make your way through the town. It's eerily quiet. You still have heard no sounds of birds or any kind of forest life. Let's see, what's everybody's passive perception real quick? I forgot
14.
to make that note. 14?
That would be a mighty 10.
14 as well.
14.
12.
12 and a 10. Okay, so the 14s, as you make your way through what looks like the center of town, you both hear a sort of distant whimpering sound that seems to be echoing through the streets.
Would I know if it'd be like an animal of some kind or anything like that, or?
You're pretty easily able to identify it sounds like maybe a child's crying? Yeah, you listen in, and if you call attention to it, anybody who now starts actively listening, you're definitely able to hear what sounds like a low, soft crying sound.
Well, someone appears to have left their child out here somewhere. Everything seems to be just very irresponsible parenting going on. Could I investigate and potentially see where the source of this sound is coming from?
Certainly. Roll an investigation check, anybody who would like to. Investigation or perception.
I will try to perceive.
That would be a natural 20, actually.
Ooh, bow, 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 bow.
26.
A 26.
Rolled a 2.
Oh.
So 5.
Just a 13 for Vermilion.
That would be a natural 18 plus 4, so that's a 22 on perception.
Nice. Okay, so Yubnub and Ania, you are able to pretty much zero right on into the source of this crying. Saoirse kind of starts wandering in the wrong direction for a second, and Ania just sort of like grabs her. Oh, no, this way.
Thanks.
Very long furboled
Excuse me,
arm.
child. My parenting books, from what I've read, recommend that you stay within a certain radius of your parental figures. This is quite odd and not appropriate.
So you call this as you see these two, as you make your way through the streets and eventually out of this fog, which is still falling quite heavy over the town. It seems like it's a little bit lighter now that you're moving through all of these buildings. And you do see the shapes of what looks like two children standing in front of a row house that, looks pretty dark from the outside. You get closer and you see a young girl and a young boy huddled together. The girl looks to be about 10 years old or so. She's wearing finely made skirts of black and violet, and she has dark hair that's pulled in a very elaborate looking set of braided pigtails. She is actually gripping in one arm a set of very beautifully crafted forearm crutches, and the other arm has the crutches sort of resting under her armpit as her free hand pats the young boy with her, who looks to be about 7 years old, on the shoulder. And you hear her, trying to reassure him, just gently going, "Shh, it'll be okay, it'll be okay." And you see that he's got just tears streaking down these pudgy little cheeks, and he's clutching a stuffed bear that seems to be wearing a very dapper top hat. So you call out to the children, was that correct, Yubnub?
That was correct. Yes, yes, excuse me, I'm, halt, looking back at the party. There appears to be some signs of distress. May I ask where your parental figures would be?
The girl looks up, and you see just this pale face poking out from the dark hair, and she frowns at you, and she goes, "Oh, our parents aren't home, but there's a monster in the house, and we don't know what to do. Can you look really strong. Can you go scare it away?"
I am concerned that the child's visual acuity may have suffered in looking down at my tiny goblin self, but what do you think? I think that you have made the correct decision, my young children, in staying out of the house with the dangerous creature. What do the rest of you say?
What kind of a monster is it?
Oh, we don't know. We've never seen it before, but we can hear it. It makes terrible sounds at night. These howling sounds, and our parents said that they got it trapped in the basement, but right now it's just being so loud and they're not home and we don't know what to do and we don't want to be in there anymore.
I'm gonna just turn to Ania and be like, do you think maybe they're just having really bad nightmares and they can't
Maybe.
tell?
How did the kitten do? What sort of feeling am I getting from like their body language, from how they're saying this? Like,
You could do an insight check. Anybody who would like to could roll an insight check.
curious about it.
I wanted to see, do they look like they're visibly injured or something? Like they were chased around by something?
What was the insight check first?
12 plus 6, because I'm trained in insight, so that's an 18.
Nice. So you take a look at Rose and Thorn. It definitely seems like they at least believe what they're saying, whether or not there is a monster
believe it.
inside. Yeah, they definitely seem to genuinely be scared about something in the house. Saoirse, you wanted to see if they were injured?
Yeah, just see, did they look like they were hurt running away from something, or yeah.
Sure. Roll an investigation.
Okay, investigation. Oh, that's pretty good. That is a 17.
A 17. You take a look over them. They look definitely scared, but they don't look injured at all. You don't see any sort of injury. No like torn clothes or anything. They look very clean, very well kept. If you look into the house back behind them, you do see what looks like a very fine, well built, sort of Victorian style mansion. It's tall and narrow. You see at the front there's actually a sort of portcullis that is currently up, and the gate to the yard is open, where the children are standing in the street. And leading up to the door, you do see there is actually a long, low ramp, rather than a set of stairs.
Well, look at these two. They're darling. We can't leave them out here scared. We ought to help them.
Well,
Yes.
I agree with you.
At least find their parents.
Yes.
Do you know where your parents are?
Oh, they went out. They won't be back for a while, but we don't want to go inside until the monster's gone.
What if we go in there with you? We'll keep you safe.
We don't want to go in, but we'll wait in the yard. I don't want to go inside, and the younger boy says, because I'm not going back in until the monster's gone. And he clutches the bear to him tightly.
Oh, have no fear, my young children. Studies have shown that parents mostly use stories of monsters to scare their children into behaving properly in most cases, though we don't want you to run into any kind of exposed nails or anything that might be in the floor. You can stay out here. The only monster in this neighborhood appears to be gentrification. So... So I think that we can investigate and clear any kind of issues of this any kind of hazards, and then we can make sure your house is safe.
I didn't think about the boarded up windows and everything. That works really well.
Explains a lot about Barovia, honestly.
Oh god.
Damn the 1%.
Strahd is the
Actual
1%.
Actual in-character question.
Yes.
Ania will sort of like still kind of eyeing the kids a little suspiciously. Like obviously doesn't think like they're evil or anything like that, like extreme, but is like, something seems a little weird here. But we'll like turn to Vermilion and be like, what do you think about this?
Did think this place was delightfully strange, but now I'm more concerned. But if it is a nightmare, then easy job for us, yes? But, and then quieter, they kind of say, if it is a monster, isn't it a bit strange that the parents would just leave their children here alone?
Strange they would just keep it in the basement rather than calling for a professional of some kind, I must imagine. I would want to take maybe some notes on maybe the anatomy of whatever this creature is. It sounds like it's been kept in terrible housing conditions. No wonder it's so upset.
Well, and in the absence of any other semi-adults, I suppose, present, I guess you are the expert there.
I suppose we should carry forward in that case so that we can move things along at least.
Let's check it out, yes?
Sure.
Excellent. So, the two children nod very happily and extend them and go, thank you, please go and get rid of the monster. It's somewhere in the basement.
Okay, just stay here. We will be right back. Hopefully with your parents pretty quickly.
Hey, thank you. And they just sort of huddle together, and they'll move sort of closer to the gate, but they're still sort of hesitant to get too close to the house, it looks like. And do you make your way through the gate towards the house?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I heard you describe a portcullis. Is there so there is an open yard, like
Yes.
a walled yard in front of the house then?
It's like there's these fine, like wrought iron gates. And I guess a portcullis isn't really the right word. It's like a big, like, wrought iron, like, arched gateway that looks like it can, close and be locked. But right now it is open. And the ramp sort of begins right on the edge of that, or a little bit in front of it, and makes its way up the walkway towards the front of the home. There is a sort of like, portico, like a porch landing at the top, and you see there are actually some oil lamps, which as you get closer through the fog, because the fog is still pretty bad, you do see that they are actually lit. The ones on the outside, they're just very low, so like through the fog you couldn't really see them. It looks like they might be almost out. Which might make sense if the parents have like left the home and the kids are by themselves. You can, you make your way to the front, and you see a set of oaken double doors that are unlocked and open and swing open very easily and quietly, as you make your way in.
Vermilion will sneak up ahead to go first, just a little bit ahead of everybody.
Sure, so we got Vermilion in the lead. Actually, I guess we might as well. Just tell me what your marching order is as you go into the house.
I would like to say that getting a good look into the main foyer of this house, I would like to put on a very fine glove and kind of begin to probe around using Mage Hand to kind of get an idea of what may be up above ahead of us.
Sure, so you just sort of have your, like, mage hand, like, waving a few feet in front of you to, like, see if there's something, like, is it, like, trying to, like, see if there's traps? What are you trying to do with it?
In terms of furniture in this initial area, in order to see, the doors were left open and all of this sort of things, giving me what would the technical term be? The heebie-jeebies.
Sure. So you open this front double oak doors, and you enter a foyer area. When you first enter, there is on the wall to your right a shield that you see is emblazoned with what looks to be a coat of arms. It has a stylized golden windmill on it that's up on like a red field. And on either side of this portrait, you see of this shield. You see portraits of what looks like maybe it might be long dead relations of the kids outside. You see maybe some slight family resemblances, but like their attire seems like it's doesn't quite match what the kids were wearing. So you're thinking it might be some, old family members, judging by this very nice house.
Might I be able to make a history check on the coat of arms on that shield to see if I recognize it in any way?
Sure, go for it.
Same for Vermilion if possible.
Yes, history checks, go ahead.
That is a total of 20, not natural.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
All right.
21.
So
While-
a 20.
while folks are focusing on that, Ania is going to essentially like pull out a tiny little tack from that's been wrapped in some of the bindings around her arms, and is gonna sort of like how I imagine like folks who like are diabetic and have to test for their sugars. She like pinches the ends of her thumbs, and she just uses that to start creating a little circle and begins ritual casting detect magic. And
Okay.
Sort of just wipes it above her forehead and lets like the 10 minutes is sort of letting the blood just slowly like cool down, like flow down her
Sure.
face to like sink into her eyes to open up her awareness.
Excellent. Okay. So you are ritual casting that. What is that? A 10-minute cast time?
It's 10 minutes for
Okay.
a ritual cast.
So as Yubnub and Vermilion make their way to, sort of inspect that coat of arms, with those history checks, you're both a little surprised that this is a noble family that you don't recognize the symbol of. Vermilion, you're probably really surprised, because with a house like this, you probably would have heard something about that family, at least, that would run it. And Yubnub, you are probably just a little bit indignant that it's anything you've never heard of before. But this is not a symbol that either of you recognize.
It's probably
Peculiar.
new money.
New money. Excellent. And let's say as you observe that, maybe you take a look at the portraits too, see if you recognize anybody. And no, you don't even recognize the figures on it on either side of it. There's what looks to be a man and a woman on either side. Let's see. And detect magic. What is that range?
The range is 30. Yes, it's 30 feet within me. I can sense magic as a faint aura around any visible creature, object in the area, and learn the school of magic. And it can penetrate most barriers blocked by a foot of stone, inch of common metal, thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt.
Okay, let's see. I'm just taking a look at the dimensions real quick.
While you're doing that, I guess since we've been traveling together for a little bit of time, if you find anything pinging using your detect magic spell, I do have the ability to identify any relevant traits or things that things might have. So let me know if you come across something.
I will let you
Wibbledy.
know. I will let you know. I think I'm more worried about what might be in here with us as opposed to what we are in here with, particularly if it's roaming around or is dangerous.
Let's see. 30 feet. I'm just double checking, but I do not believe anything pings. 10
Just,
foot, 12. Yeah, you don't detect anything with a magical, enchantment aura on it within range.
Okay, she has it for 10 minutes though. And
Okay.
then you just see sort of there's this red, slightly congealed sort of liquid that's covering her eyes. It's just it's almost spectral, but it looks like as if congealed blood were covering it. And she's just sort of gazing and looking around at different things. Sorry, Mike. But yeah. I
Okay.
think we should proceed with caution here. I don't trust this place.
Yes, the children did say that the problem was coming from the basement, but I am a little afraid of basements, so I would love to check that out, but maybe with someone else.
I don't think we should at any point separate. Stay close.
They did say that was a good rule for camping, but we've now definitely exited the purview of camping rules.
Clever instincts, both of you.
May I ask what the layout is in terms of entrances to other rooms that we might be able to see from where we're standing, stairs, anything like that?
Yes, right now you are just in the foyer. There is another set of double doors that are directly opposite of where you came in. So it's like you entered the house, the shield and the portraits are on the left wall, and then when you enter, immediately across from you is another set of closed, like, intricate doors. They're framed in wood, and they've got some sort of frosted glass paneling that are, you know, very decorative.
Vermilion will go up to those doors. You can never be too careful in a rich person's house. And check for traps, just in case.
Sure, roll me investigation.
That is true. My parents did have all sorts of antiquated weapons that stayed surprisingly sharp, even though they were for show.
18.
18. You take a look and you don't find any traps. These doors don't appear locked either.
On we go.
All right, so you open up these doors, and you find yourselves in what looks to be a wide main hallway. It's about 15 feet to the other side of the hall, and maybe 20, 30 feet on either side of you. To your right, when you enter, you see a grand, twisting red marble staircase that spirals up and out of sight to a floor above you. In the center of the staircase, you actually see what looks to be a very, very well-crafted lift. Think like a early sort of one of those, like, caged elevators that you might find in, like, you know, buildings in, like, maybe turn of the century or so. And it does have, like, a sort of half door that opens and closes for safety. And you can see that the lift would be going up through the center spiral of the staircase to bring you to the higher levels. On your left side, immediately across from the staircase, is a very nice-looking fireplace, which has a longsword stretched above it that has the design of a windmill worked into the hilt and the pommel. The room has wood-paneled walls that are very ornately sculptured with images of vines and flowers and what looks like, you know, for fey creatures like satyrs and nymphs prancing throughout the undergrowth. And you see, as you look, you see what looks like two doorways. One is like a nice doorway straight across from the entry that you came in that looks like it leads to maybe another nice room of some sort. The other is a simple wooden door that looks a little bit more narrow. Maybe it leads to like a closet. And then you see to the right of those a sort of indent in the wall where you see two more doors. And to your right, at the foot of the staircase, there's also another door. This is another finely made oak door with some decorative-looking glass panels.
People are some door enthusiasts. That was quite a number of different things. May I ask if we could get just once more over, just simple
Yes.
in terms of like the
So-
orientation of us to what we're looking at?
Absolutely. I know it's a lot, because, you know, it's the module, so some of this I'm reading is, like, reset flavor text and other stuff I'm
Right.
making up. So, you step in from the foyer. To your left is a fireplace with a sword above it. To your right is a fancy-ass spiral staircase with a fancy-ass, old-timey looking elevator lift that rises through the center. Straight across from you, you see what looks like a doorway to another nice room of some sort, and maybe a closet door. And you see sort of off to the side few more like casual doors. Casual
Casual
doors.
doors.
You know, like they're not made for presentation.
Let's say, is there a dapper door that just like has a
Yeah.
symbol, like a top hat?
The
on
one
the
right in
side?
front of you would be the dapper door, or there's one on the wall behind you, and like to your right. So it's not the doors you came in, but you can tell there's like another room, which you kind of remember seeing there were actually 2 windows on the front of the house, so it looks like that door leads to some kind of front room.
I would like to go over to the door that is behind us as we come in, I guess behind and to our right, and I'll just knock on the door and be like, hello? Looking for parents of 2 scared children.
Sure, you knock on the door and there is no answer.
I'll go to the next one in the right, do the same thing, knock, hello?
Sure.
2 scared children waiting outside.
You make your round knocking on each door.
Yep, that's the idea.
There is no answer. As you sort of put your ear to the doors listening in, you do realize that the house is very quiet. The 2 children had told you that there were, scary monster sounds happening, but you don't hear anything. Not right now, at least.
I'm beginning more and more to think that these children are the victim of nightmares, or that someone is playing some kind of really cruel prank on them.
Or are they the ones playing the prank on us?
Good point.
That's a fair question.
I mean,
Well-
there isn't much to do in this town. I suppose if you had nothing else to do and you go with your brother and go, look what we're going to prank the first set of people to come through this town into doing, it does seem a tad contrived that this whole scenario would be set up to test us in some way, shape, or form. I mean, who would do that?
I agree, but it is very strange that there's nobody else in this town. I mean, usually there are more than just children and more than just 2 people, unless it's a time of war or an abandoned settlement or...
It was
So-
bizarrely quiet.
Yes.
Agreed. So Sarsha has gone and checked all the doors so far, correct? Okay, so the 4th wall does not need repairing or investigating in this moment. Okay, gotcha.
Have we opened any of the doors into the adjacent rooms to be able to see what lies beyond as of yet?
I had not, no.
There's
Well.
such a wealth of options. However will we decide?
Well, and I'm going to clap my hands, be like, Chauncey, and then my mage hand, just kind of like a glittering, bedazzled glove, will go over and be like, so, which one would you like us to look into first?
You call your mage hand Chauncey.
Of course. Well, why wouldn't it? My faithful assistant. Sometimes I have my hands full and need someone else to scribe for me.
Huh, that's great. Could you ask Chauncey to open up the door with the frosted glass windows in it?
Absolutely. You heard them. And Chauncey does like a flourish with the hand
Nice.
and goes over to the door. So so you said that this current
There are
room...
2 fancy doors. You got 2 dapper doors.
2 dapper
Yeah,
doors.
there's dapper door immediately in front of you, next to the closet door, the casual door, and the door on the wall behind you also has like very nice glass like plating in it.
Well, I began knocking on the one behind me, so perhaps we should just open that one first and then proceed if there's nothing behind it.
All right. I will ask Chauncey to open that door.
Excellent. So Chauncey opens the door and it creaks open without an issue. Actually, it doesn't creak open. It opens on well-oiled hinges, very quietly. It seems like this... Actually, as you look around, it looks like, this house is very well maintained. Definitely better than any of the other houses that you passed on your way inside this village.
There's no dust or anything in the vicinity
No.
of any of the...
Looks like it's been very well maintained.
Cleaned,
The
lived in.
portrait we passed earlier, though, did that seem like of a family like from a particularly long time ago, or did it seem
It didn't
like
look...
recent?
It didn't look like old in terms of being like dusty or very aged. It looks like older portraits, just sort of in the way that the dress was. It looks like very outdated clothing. I mean, honestly, the kids who you saw out front seems to almost have like very outdated clothing to what you're all used to, especially having come from Waterdeep. Maybe this town is just seems like it might be remote. Maybe they're a little bit behind the times. So, this is sort of the equivalent of, like, you met these kids in, let's say, a Victorian era garb, you saw these portraits, and, like, something like, a couple of generations earlier. Something from, like, the 1800s or something.
What is the lighting situation in here? Is it just generally there are still oil lamps?
Yes,
or...
there are like oil lamps and like sconces along the walls, and on that fireplace, like framing that fireplace mantle of the room that you came into. There were oil lamps flanking the marble staircase, and there was even a lamp sort of flickering from the inside of that lift. That you could see shining out from the metal bars that were wrought to create the sides. As Chauncey opens the door into this next room, you see more oak-paneled walls, and as you enter, it looks like this might be some sort of like a hunter's den room. You see above the fireplace, there's a mounted stag's head with twisting antlers, and eyes that just sort of peer out into the room at you. Positioned around the outskirts of the room, you see 3 stuffed wolves, just full bodies of wolves that look like they're frozen in sort of prowling positions.
Is there anything pinging on the detect magic in this room?
As you make your way into this room, you do not detect any... Oh, wait, actually, there is a faint aura of magic coming from the mantle place. There, in front of the mantle place, you see 2 padded armchairs that are draped in very nice, well-kept looking animal furs. There's a table between them that has what looks like a half-drink cask of wine with 2 wooden cups on it. You see a fine chandelier in this room, actually. Rather than just standard oil sconces. It's just like this really beautiful draping chandelier with candles burning on this one. And there are 2 cabinets standing against 2 different walls. Let me just take a look at what that school is, right? Because Detect Magic will tell you the school of magic of an item.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright, let me double check real quick. Thanks, Google, for nothing. I forgot to, like, specify, like, D&D, and I just started getting all this, like, Harry Potter shit. Let's see. This item, it doesn't specify. So, I'm gonna say this is an aura of... Actually... Wait. I think evocation? Let me double check.
Seems totally fine. All right, well.
The least, that's the magic you don't want to ever ping when you don't know what
I might be
something
wrong.
is.
Let me, like, double check. Yeah, just kidding. Not evocation. Transmutation.
Oh.
Was this on the deer head?
This was, it looks like...
Or the mantelpiece, you said.
It's pinging from something on the mantelpiece. You're too far... The room is pretty large. So you would have to get closer to actually inspect and see what it is.
Yep, Nub.
Yes?
Do you mind, like, sending Chauncey to try and get at that mantelpiece?
No, I can certainly make an attempt. The range on Chauncey appears to be about 30 feet. Do you know if you'd be able to reach the mantelpiece in question?
Yes, even from the entryway, Chauncey can reach the...
Be a deer and poke that the deer for me, please.
Be a deer and poke the deer. Sorry, I'm just fixing the cameras real quick. Boop, bloop, blorp. Let me get all my stuff.
We're essentially asking your very fancy mage hand to boop the snoot of
Boop the snoot.
deer head.
Yeah, you do successfully boop the snoot of the deer head. Nothing happens. However, Ania, you do know that the source is lower than the stag's head. It's from something that's resting on the mantelpiece.
I imagine that the next like 10-20 seconds then turns into like no wait yup nub direct chancy lower. It's like
Older,
you're trying to put up
Right.
like a painting in a house and you're like a little bit lower, a little
Yep.
bit, no, a little bit to the left, no, a little bit back to the right.
So would this be an investigation check then? Using
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that. Is
Yeah, I mean,
it guided investigation?
if you're not going any further into the room and you're just trying to sort of direct the mage hand from the doorway, yeah, I'll say make an investigation check. I was gonna say advantage because you're helping, but you're doing it from so far away, so that cancels out. Just make a straight investigation roll. Yubnub.
You need some help there, Yovnub? You look like you're struggling. I'll tap him on the shoulder and give him guidance.
All right. Well, that So without the guidance, that would be a dirty 20, and that is a 21 total with that.
Oh, yeah, you are able to zone in on, finally there's, like a couple of, quills that, like, seem to have just been sort of, like, plopped up on the mantelpiece at some point that you see, like, the mage hand sort of, like, clumsily knocks off while it's trying to, like, navigate things around. There's an empty candelabra that goes, like, clattering over as the hand tries to get to it. And finally you find a small, low, box. It's just a simple wooden box, with a plain, gold latch on it, and the mage hand Chauncey picks it up and bloop 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 carries it across the room and back to Yubnub.
All right. I will back out of this current room with Chauncey remaining about 10 feet in front of me while it carries this box. I imagine it's the wizard equivalent of disarming a bomb.
Yeah.
Very kind of like, all right, very carefully. And
Cut the red wire. No blue wire.
I will place it down on the floor in that same distance away from me, and I will ask the party, are we in any immediate hurry? I may be able to find out some more information about whatever this is. And the aura is coming from the box itself?
From something in the box.
All right.
I suppose unless parents or monsters show up, we are in no immediate hurry.
I will have Chauncey open the box.
You open the box!
In the like 3 seconds before that happens, Ania just sort of turns in the direction of Vermilion and then turns back in the direction of Yubnub and thinks to herself, she could check it for trap.
The box creaks open and nothing seems to happen. You do see inside a sort of dark velvet lining, and inside the box is a golden key with what looks like a set of blue gems set into the handle.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Not
There's
what
no
I
sort
expected.
of windmill device on it like we saw on the sword or anything, is there?
Yeah, there's a, like, sort of it looks like a big kind of cartoon, not a big cartoon key, but, it's like a very simple, like, straight, like,
Comically
two,
large. It's
like,
The key to the city. kind of thing.
but, so it's got, like, that circle loop on one end where you could, like, put it through a key ring, and then just, like, the long, straight shaft with, like, two little, like, different sized key teeth. But let's say that key ring area has, like, the shape of a windmill, like windmill's blades on it, and that's where, like, the blue gems are sort of inlaid.
And I am a noble. Is this a device that I would recognize from having to, like, learn about other noble families?
I would say, actually, as a noble, you are probably familiar with some very fancy houses and setups, and you make the connection between the material, the sort of golden brass material that this key looks to be made of, and that lift that you saw near the spiral staircase. You do know that lifts like that are generally activated by enchantments. And usually you need some sort of a token to be able to access these lifts. And you're pretty sure this key is something that would be used to let people go up and down in that lift.
I'll let everybody know and be like, maybe this means that if we need to go upstairs, we have a way to make that lift work.
How delightful. Almost disappointed that nothing exploded, though.
There are 2 cabinets also in this room.
Yeah, I was gonna see if we would open those. Yeah.
There's
Vermilion
one on the
looks
wall.
Vermilion.
There's one on the wall to the right, immediately when you come in, and then there's one on the wall to the left. The one on the wall to the left is flanked by 2 of those stuffed wolves. And the one on the wall to your right... Sorry, let me just take a look at the directions real quick. 'Cause the book gives everything in cardinal directions, but it's, like, not a simple north... Like, you know, normally north-oriented thing, so I've always got to, like, figure out which way it's actually trying to talk about. The last time I ran this, I kept saying the wrong directions, like everything was inverted, and it was confusing, so I am trying to avoid that. Yes, the one on the east cabinet, the one to your left when you first come in, that is flanked by the wolves. You do see that there is a heavy padlock on that one. The cabinet to your right does not seem to have any outward lock on it.
I'll check the right one, or the unlocked one first. See, I've forgotten the directions already.
Yeah, see, so the one on the right is unlocked, the one to your left is locked.
And Ania, you said that nothing else was pinging in terms of magic in this room? And as I like kind of side-eye the wolves that are flanking this cabinet.
As far as my magic lets me see, nothing is there.
All right.
Vermilion, would you like to take a peek, as only I believe you can, into this cabinet?
I can certainly try, but I'm going to try the one without the creepy dogs first. Do not trust them.
I also do not. I will prepare an action to Sacred Flame should anything dangerous of any kind approach Vermilion or us.
Can I check for traps or to see if it's locked?
Yeah, roll investigation.
Ooh, 23.
23. Yeah, you take a look at this cabinet and you don't see any lock and you don't see any sign of a trap.
They will open it right up.
Okay, let me pull up my back.
A boxing glove on a spring punches you in the face.
Let's see. The unlocked cabinet you find a small box that is containing a deck of playing cards, as well as an assortment of some very fine-looking wine glasses and like whiskey tumblers. You pretty much found the minibar.
Okay, for viewers who are not able to see our player Vince's reaction and my own reaction. We both physically recoiled a little bit and our eyes grew very wide because anytime a DM hears the phrase, a deck of playing cards, we all panic because we know what that could be.
Yes, my level 1 players.
Oh no.
Hey,
Gods! No,
hey, you don't know our luck. I could pull a wish right now.
Wahahaha.
Vermilion's quietly going to take the cards.
Okay.
Tuck them away, and then sneak over to the other cabinet and eye the wolves and try to pick the lock.
Sure. Make a thieves' tools check. Or sleight of hand if you're, not.
I'm
Ooh,
picturing these wolves are like really crappily taxidermied too. They're like just the mangled like that. Like
Yeah.
Ugh,
They are pretty scary looking.
that was not so good. 9.
A 9? No, you actually think you kind of jam your lockpick in there. It's a little hard to get it back out. You managed to without breaking it, but you're not sure. You might have damaged the lock a little bit.
They're too distracted by the wolves. They keep like
Looking at us.
Ugh.
with their weird glass eyes. I like animals. I do not like animals like this.
they're staring at me. Getting performance anxiety.
If you'd like, you could make another attempt, but this would be at disadvantage.
Okay, I will try. Okay. 18.
18? Okay.
Advantage? Wow, that's really good.
You manage to sort of push the lockpick in a little bit further than before, and you hear something sort of click, and you think you maybe bent back the thing that you broke a second ago, and you're able to slide the picks into position much better, and the padlock comes, pops undone. And you're able to pull it out and open the cabinets, and you find inside a heavy crossbow, a light crossbow, a hand crossbow, and 20 bolts for each weapon.
So this is the weapons cabinet.
Yeah, you'll probably appreciate the fact that they locked it so well with those 2 young children home, actually.
I was going to say, at least some responsible weapon ownership here, at least.
Though they properly should stow the bolts separate from the weapons if they were paying attention to safety rules, but perhaps there's some other lock on this door that we're not, I don't know.
Are there any, like, hidden shelves or anything in here? Like, any hidden doors inside?
You may do an investigation check to see if you can find any hidden
Nope.
goodies.
Nope.
I know
That's
that
a
face.
6.
No, it looks like you got pretty much everything there is to find in this room. You know, I mean, there's that half-drink, like, bottle of wine on the table in front of the fireplace. You see there's, like, what looks like a card table near that cabinet where you got the deck of playing cards in with a couple of chairs around it, but it's empty right now.
Unless anyone would like to thieve from these people. No judgment here. I'm going to lock this back up safely.
Are you asking the wolves for permission to lock it back up, or are you asking us?
Asking you.
Oh, okay.
I hope they
was-
don't answer.
So do I. I'm far too clumsy for a crossbow, so I will say no.
Hear a deep, distant voice just rumble, "Free me from this mortal coil."
No!
I'm picturing more like the 2 heckler Muppets.
Yes!
Like, there's a terrible rogue.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. It wasn't that good
What's
either,
a
Steve.
6? Yeah.
You know what? We should laugh right now. Really? Yeah, we should laugh.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, is there anything else that you care to do in this room?
I just have the key. That's all. I'll take the key with us
Sure.
in case we decide to use the marble staircase lift elevator.
Sure, so Saoirse has the key. Is there anything else you'd like to do in this room?
Vermilion just closes the door back up, tries to put the padlock back on.
Sure. Yeah, you do so without an issue. You lock it back up. Looks good as new. And at this point, we're actually going to take a short break. We went a little bit longer before taking a break than usual. So we're just going to let everybody take a, quick 5-minute break, stretch, use the bathroom. It goes for everybody listening and watching too. Hydrate, stretch, take your meds. We love you. We will be back soon. Okay, and we should be back now. Thank you so much for bearing with us while we all took that quick little bio break. Hope everybody is all hydrated and stretched. And we are good to keep going then. Just real quick before we begin, if you are fresh to tuning in, I do just want to remind you all, quick content warning. This module has some horror elements to it. There might be some content regarding child abuse, neglect, and child death. If that is an issue and you're just tuning in, feel free to move on. We understand. We've got plenty of other games with different content for you to check out another day. Okay, so last we just wrapped before the break. You left the wolf den room, so to speak, and you are back in that main hall area. As you leave the hunter's den, to your right is that red spiral staircase with the lift, and across from you are a series of doors, one of which is another dapper door of wood and glass paneling.
Well, we've been through one of these stained or frosted glass doors. Would anyone like to proceed with the second verse, same as the first, as they say?
Sounds fine by me.
Alrighty then. And
Vermilion wants to do the honors for sure.
Of course. They will go ahead and check that door out as well.
Sure. So you go to the other dapper door, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You make your way to that door. You can roll an investigation check for traps.
21.
21. This door is not trapped. You can try to open it, and if you do so, it does so without an issue. Once again, this is another very well-oiled set of hinges.
All right. They open a little bit and kind of peek their head in.
Okay, you open this door, and you find yourself in a very fine dining room. There is even more wood paneling in this room, and you see a large carved mahogany table that is surrounded by 8 high, straight-backed chairs that have elegantly sculpted armrests and fine cushioned seats of deep red. A crystal chandelier is hanging above the table, and you see little bits of light reflecting through the crystals and across the dining room.
They're very aggressively reflecting.
Mounted above a fireplace that is to your left when you peek into the room. You see a mahogany framed painting of what looks like an alpine, a mountain vale. You see another set of elegant images carved into the wood paneling on this room. It looks like a deer, maybe flitting in and out of trees of these wooden walls. And there are windows lining the wall right across from you as you peer in, with what looks like red silk drapes that are closed right now. And there is a tapestry on the wall to your right, a very large tapestry that is depicting a hunting scene of what looks like some noble people on horseback, and they're hunting dogs, chasing after a wolf.
I have a hunch. Could I just open up the curtains that are closed?
Sure.
Does it look like outside? Does it look like it's the outside that we left behind? Or is it like different outside?
No, you open it up and you see still a sort of foggy townscape behind you.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like you're still in that village.
Interesting.
The fog is still very present, though. You can see it's like, pressed and thick up against the windows.
Ania, do you notice if we have a similarly magicked mantelpiece in this room?
It's like a scan. It's like a height. It's just a.
I'm picturing
it's
a
fantasy
cyclops,
equivalent.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a cyclops view, except without the radiation destruction happening across the room.
That would be
love it.
amazing.
Okay.
Just oops.
So you do your detect magic, 5, 10, 15, 20. You do not detect any magic in the dining room. 5, 10, 15. Let me just double check where everything is real quick. Sorry, I'm like scrolling through everything and it takes so long sometimes. Where is this thingy? Where does it go? I want to make sure I don't give you any of the wrong information. Like you do.
It's okay. You're literally creating a fantasy world for us on the fly. No worries.
Let's see. You detect some magic not on this floor. You believe that it is coming from a floor up above you and to your right. You are detecting, let's see, is this also in your range?
But would that maybe be corresponding to wherever the staircase was leading to, the above and to our right?
Above and to your right. Yeah, I mean, it does seem like it's coming from definitely one of the upper floors.
Okay.
And then I think this is I think this is out of range for you. This other thing that I'm looking at. I might be mathing wrong, so apologies if I throw you off later with my lies. Okay, so you do actually sense, though, another bit of transmutation magic coming from the floor up above you and to your right somewhere, but nothing in the dining room.
There is more magic. It's not in here, though. It's above us.
I also wanted to see if I could check behind the tapestry. Just because I'm having, I don't know, I'm having a really bad feeling about all the stuff that's like covered up in this room, and I just want to make sure that nothing is going to jump out and jump scare me.
Sure. So you pull the tapestry aside?
Yes, I do, with gusto.
Feeling suspicious.
Make a perception check for me.
Oh god, okay. I was like, we have now gone way into the point where this is just totally skeeving me out.
Vermilion's
I rolled a natural 1.
Oh.
So it's a 4.
A 4, okay. You do not find any sort of a secret doorway or anything. There's just more of the wood paneling behind the tapestry with, these carvings into it of, deers and trees.
There is very obviously nothing left to see here except for art appreciation. Moving on.
I do so love their color scheme. It matches.
When you do go over to the tapestry,
I like the
when you go over to the tapestry, though, you do see that there's another door to your right.
Another door.
This is a casual door.
A casual door. Okay. I guess I will, Vermilion, would you check and see if this door is gonna kill us all?
With pleasure. I'm sure it won't. They're gonna do the same
Just,
thing.
trying
Not-
to very, very gently pat Sorsha in a comforting way.
I'm getting super nervous. I'm twisting the unicorn friendship bracelet hard right now.
And, just to clarify, the dimensions of the room are such that, Ania, your spell encompasses the entirety of it, or would we have to move further in order to, elucidate any other features?
I will put it to you this way. We could step into the room. Would you like to be the first one to step into the room, Yabnub, as you have so wonderfully volunteered?
I believe that our compatriots have already begun investigating the...
Yeah, I'm definitely in the room.
Vermilion too. And
Yeah.
that's an 11 investigation on that casual door.
On the casual door, yeah, you take a look. This door also appears to be untrapped and unlocked.
Vermilion
Alright.
opens it with a big flourish.
Okay, it opens up back out into the hall that you were in, into that
Thank
main
you.
hallway, and you see another casual door immediately to your left, and you realize you're a little bit closer to the staircase than before. This is one of the other casual doors that you could see from the main hallway.
Well, I feel a little foolish, but thank you for your expertise nonetheless.
It's no problem.
Okay, so there's still a casual door immediately to Vermilion's left now.
Vermilion just opens that one.
You open that one? Okay,
Like
you
reaching that
open
point where I just fuck it.
you open that door, and it opens into a kitchen. You see a very tidy looking kitchen with some dishware and cookware. There's a clay sort of dome shaped oven standing near the wall to like your left when you open it. You see a small little like pantry area, an open doorway where you see shelves with like food goods and stuff in it. You have the idea that it strikes you that these two casual doors are probably for servants to make their way from the kitchen into the dining room easily.
Kitchen.
And on the table, then there's the table is entirely undressed. There's no plates or cutlery of any kind on it or anything. The table in the dining room, I should clarify.
The dining room table is set. It's covered with some very fine looking silverware and some like crystal wine glasses. Everything has been polished really finely. And I mean, it doesn't look like anything was like in immediate use. You get the idea. Maybe some of this is just sort of for presentation as well.
And the food, does the food look like it's in, good condition? It isn't like spoiled food that's been in a pantry for a long time, is it? Or
yeah, you can take a look. You make your way into the kitchen, to the pantry, and the food is still, it all looks like it's in good condition. It smells okay. There doesn't seem to be any mold on anything. You maybe like sniff a few things. It seems fresh, nothing too exciting.
Okay.
Should we head up and carry on?
Yeah, would you like to make your way? You could either go upstairs via the spiral staircase, or you could use the cage lift.
I have a funny feeling we might run into something upstairs.
But we're looking for a basement, yes?
Yes,
True.
but did we open all of the doors on the main? There was a fireplace.
There is...
I think we opened all of our doors on that main area. Maybe the lift will take us downstairs.
There was still one door in the main hall that you didn't check. It was the smaller one right next to the dining room. It's just like a more narrow doorway.
That looks suspiciously like a basement. Vermilion's gonna investigate that one as much as they want to just rip it open.
Sure. So Vermilion opens what is a broom closet, essentially. There's some dark coats and cloaks that are hanging up, but you don't find anything of interest in there.
Rats. I mean, not actual rats.
Maybe.
Well,
Could have been worse.
Okay, so would you like to make your way up the stairs or up the lift?
Yeah, I think so.
let's check out that lift. Maybe it goes both ways.
I was hoping that maybe it would take us downstairs. It seems if you're building a lift, it would make sense that it should access all the floors of the house.
I have a minor concern about this rather unusual magical lift. Is
Sure.
if there is something not quite right here, like there is a monster of some kind, does the spiral staircase also continue downwards, or is it only upwards from the landing that we're currently on?
Oh, that's a good question.
The spiral staircase only seems to go upwards, and you can, take a look at the lift too, and it doesn't look like the lift goes down.
The basement.
This is somewhat concerning, especially would anyone be opposed to me trying to identify some other kind of hidden thing about this magical key? Because if you said that the key is similar in aesthetics to the lift.
Yeah, it's made of like similar metal, and then it has blue stones in the handle. But yes, please, by all means, I'll just hand it over and...
All right, and I roll up my sleeves and sit down on the floor, and I begin to ritual cast the spell Identify.
Okay, you cast the spell Identify, and you do find that this is a key that has been enchanted with a variation of the Levitate spell. Taking a look at the key and the lift, you see that it's sort of like two pieces of an enchantment, and when you insert the key and twist it, the Levitate spell takes hold, and it will bring the lift up to the next floor. There are two holes in the elevator, one with 1 blue gem, one with 2 blue gems, and one with 3 blue gems. You get the idea that it's corresponding first, second, and third floor.
And you said that this key is the one that has 2 blue gems in it?
It's got a blue gem. It's got like a motif of a windmill. And it's like each blade of the windmill has like a blue gem on it. You don't think...
So there's 3 total.
Right, yeah, you only see 3 floors. When you were outside of the house, you could see there were 3 floors and maybe what looked like an attic space. So maybe the lift doesn't go up to the attic, but you can see that it's got at least these 3 living floors accessible.
All right. Well, I relay any sort of knowledge to the group. I'm not sure if there are keys that, so if there are keys that correspond to the other floors, or if this key is just you put it into one, the corresponding floor hole corded area, and it levitates the lift to wherever you command it to. It does not, however, seem to have one down to the basement. Neither the stairs nor the lift provide us conveyance down there.
Yes, Saoirse, because you actually have some familiarity with these lifts, as previously established, you do believe that unless for some reason this works differently, you just need to insert the key into the corresponding floor that you want to go to.
All right, then I suppose that's what we should do. Keep it simple and hope that this basement, whatever it is, I don't know, reveals itself soon? Maybe? I don't know.
We should have asked those kids where their mysterious basement is, I suppose.
I can understand the younger one not understanding the difference between a basement and like an attic or a room, but the older girl looked old enough to, be able to tell the difference.
I personally am wary of going into an unknown space while trapped in a wrought iron cage. So I will, if we are going to go up to the second floor, I would like to proceed stealthily up the stairs if I could.
All right, and I will take anyone that wants to go in the lift with the key.
I'm probably reaching the end of my detect magic, but I will want to go in the lift with Saoirse.
Sure.
Just keeping an eye on wherever my magic is like pinging, and just be wary of whatever is coming ahead.
How long does detect magic last?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, so you guys have been this has been a slightly quicker investigation than the one you all did in the Wolf Den. So I'll say you've still got it up for, a little bit more, not long. You do still sense that magical pinging coming from, as you're facing the lift now, it's coming from upstairs somewhere and to your left now. No, I think that is still too far away for you to... Okay, yeah. So right now that's all that you're picking up. So we've got Yubnub going up the stairs and everybody else is going into the lift?
Vermilion will go up with Yubnub.
Okay.
That would be a 15 for stealth going up the stairs. As I do so, I will make a few gestures and I will cast mage armor on myself.
Excellent. So you make your way upstairs. Everybody else climbs into the lift. Saoirse, I believe you had the key. So,
I do, yes.
You slide that into. You're just going to the second floor. Is that where you folks are trying to get to right now? Just one floor up? Okay.
That seems like a good start, at least.
All right. So you slip the key into the slot that has two little sapphires over it. You see three keyholes, one with one, two with two, or one with two, and one with three. And you sort of hear the gears start to clink into place as the thing locks up, and you all feel a sort of shudder, and the levitate spell takes effect and slowly begins to float you up. Due to the nature of this elevator cage, you can actually still see Yubnub and Vermilion on the staircase, and you could even talk to each other as you went. You get the idea this was made with a very open sort of thing, so that whoever was in the lift would still be able to communicate with anybody taking the stairs.
Very sociable design.
Yeah, you did notice that, one of the children had, the older girl had her forearm crutches, so you get the idea, maybe some of this is also so, their child would be able to go up and down and still commune with anybody on the stairway, and things like that. Possibly also something of a safety measure. So
imagining the short ride on the lift, we all, for whatever reason, in the background just start hearing soft jazz playing.
You do now.
This is nifty. You've never seen a contraption quite like this before.
Isn't it, though? Delightful.
I had seen some things like it growing up, but this one is certainly the finest material I've ever seen.
I know you said smooth jazz, and for whatever reason, my brain translated that into careless whisper.
Yes. Absolutely. 100%. You're not sure if it's actually playing in the lift or if it's some sort of psychosomatic thing.
Similar to, but legally distinct from,
Similar to, but legally distinct from, yes. Okay, so you reach this upper hall of the second floor. Now, on this hall, you find some unlit oil lamps that are mounted on the walls. You open the door of the lift, or you come to the top of the stairs, and you find yourselves facing a mantelpiece with a fireplace, which has a wood-framed portrait of the family. There's a little metal plaque at, like, the base of the portrait that you see just says The Dursts. And you see a portrait of what looks like a, grown middle-aged man and a woman, with standing shoulder to shoulder with two smiling children who you recognize to be the children from outside. They look like maybe they're, like a year or two younger. This might be a slightly older portrait from when you just saw them. But you also see that in the arms of the husband is a tightly swaddled baby. And you did not see a third child with these kids at all. What, actually, who's got, I think, Ania, you said your passive perception is 14?
Yes.
Vermilion, too.
And Vermilion? Okay, so as you
I got a
two
15.
look... You've got a 15?
Passive, yes.
Oh, clutch. Awesome.
Oh, Ginger Snap.
So, yeah, so Ginger Snap, Vermilion, and Ania, you look at this portrait, and you're both sort of thrown off for a moment when it sort of looks like the mother is eyeing the baby in her husband's arms with what looks like a hint of distaste or scorn. And it just seems like a very unusual choice for something to be included in a family portrait. Like, that's something that an artist would have had to intentionally have featured. But then you blink and it looks like, maybe you were just staring at the portrait too long. Now she's just staring back at you with a sort of impassive expression. As you go to sort of take a look at this portrait, you also notice this hall also has wood panels with carved images of what looks like dancing children, like frolicking in fields. But the three of you take a closer look and you realize that the children in the carvings they're not dancing, they're swatting away they're fighting away swarms of bats that seem to be collected, like, around them in these wood carvings.
I'm starting to second guess the decor choices after all.
And there are 2 sets of standing suits of armor that are flanking each of these 2 doorways that you find yourselves facing either side of. So it's like so you're at the top of the staircase. On either side, there is a set of double doors, and in front of you is the portrait with at the fireplace.
Does my detect magic still ping anything in the area?
It does. Oh, actually, there's also another door, right off the staircase on the right wall. And your detect magic pings somewhere to your right. Like, you think it might be in, like, sort of the right back of the house somewhere, but that's about when it fizzles out. So you've got 2 sets of double doors to investigate, one on either side, both of which are flanked by 2 sets of suits of armor. And then you've got another more simple door to your right and behind you. Where would you like to go?
We start with maybe we find another broom closet first. If we go through this simple door, we might as well eliminate that possibility first.
True enough.
All right. And I will stand the furthest away from any kind of feature in this room that I would like to and I would like to get Chauncey to open the small door to our right and behind us.
Awesome. Chauncey opens up that door. This opens up into a dark room. However, I think most of you have dark vision. Oh, never mind. Just Yubnub and Vermilion should, I think.
But I have my light bracelet, so I'll light it up.
Nice.
to help the non-dark vision folk.
Excellent.
see.
Yeah, it is actually pretty dark in here. You realize that this is the first place that you've been into where the lights are not all lit right now. But everything is still clean. You know, you don't see any, like, dust or anything like that on the portrait or the mantelpiece.
So there are no sources of light on this floor then?
No, you still see some light, like, sneaking up from between the staircase, pretty much, and the lift. But it's, you know, it's very watered down. So you can still see, but especially those with dark vision. But it's not super detailed right now. But Chauncey opens up this casual door, we'll call it. We'll keep going with that theme. And you find a very simple and undecorated bedroom. It has a set of 2 beds that seem to have just simple straw-filled mattresses. At the foot of each bed is an empty footlocker, and you see some well-pressed looking servants' uniforms that are hanging from hooks above, like, each footlocker, and then you see on your left side there's another narrow casual door.
Is anyone finding it a little bit odd that even if the parents were out, that there should be servants walking around doing servant things, yes?
Or any signs of children actually living inside this place other than the portrait. And children usually don't clean up after themselves. This is a bit unnatural.
Place feels very dead.
Yeah.
I like it.
Shall we open the door within the door? Or within the room?
Do we have any, could we, and I'm going to turn to Vermilion and I will ask do you think that we could get any kind of clues as to what's going on here from the contents of those footlockers in that room? And about how large is this servant's quarters?
I can tell you exactly. It is 10 by 15 feet.
Okay, so
Pretty small.
It's pretty
Pretty
tiny, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be willing to maybe investigate, or perhaps I can, if it's unlocked, I could perhaps even just have Chauncey flip it open if you'd like.
It's no trouble. They'll scurry in and see if they can open a footlocker.
Yeah, the footlocker opens without issue. There's not even like a lock or anything on it. It's just got like a really simple latch. You open it and you find more uniforms folded and, you know, neatly put away. If you, you know, like scrounge through it a little bit, it looks like maybe this was like a cook's footlocker. You find some like aprons with varying degrees of permanent stains on them. And when you go over to the second footlocker, it looks like this must have been some other servants. There's no, you know, aprons for like cooking or anything, but you find a collection of like nice pressed trousers and some skirts, simple white blouses. You know, it just seems like some very simple attire, probably for maybe whoever was supposed to do the cleaning.
Standard enough fare.
So to recap, we went down to the dining room and found a set table and a kitchen with food that was about to be served, but no cook. We have gone into the servants' quarters and found a number of cooks' uniforms that appear to be unused and no signs of servants or anyone else anywhere.
Indeed. If the town wasn't so quiet, I would say perhaps the servants are simply out fetching supplies, but I'm not so certain.
Everything feels a bit off. I don't trust it.
Vermilion's gonna open the little door inside the room. There was like another...
Yeah, there's another door, and you find in here it's just another closet. It looks like this is where the servants would probably hang their like winter things. You find some heavier cloaks, not as nice as the ones in the closet that you found downstairs.
And you said there were 2 other doors that had a set of armors flanking it?
Yes, back in the at the front of the main stairway, when you first come up from the stairs or when you step out of the lift, there's a set of doors on your left side, a set of double doors on your right side, and each set of doors has a coat of armor on either side of it.
Fancy door time, I think, but give me a moment.
Of course.
Vermilion's going to check for traps on the left door, but not just the door, but also the suits of armor.
Sure.
If they can see anything weird about those.
On the left door. Roll me an investigation.
14.
14. You do not find any sign of traps or anything unusual with the armor. It's some really nice armor. It's very polished. Definitely something that looks like it's, ornamental and has not ever actually seen a battle.
That's good.
The kind of stuff my parents are into.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty typical for, snooty noble houses.
Yep.
Okay, do you open the door?
Yeah, they'll give it a try.
Okay, so, you creak open, these two double doors. These do not have glass paneling. These are just solid oak, it looks like, and it opens up into a dark room. You can feel, actually, Vermilion, you've got some dark vision. So you can see a sort of large, mostly empty room. And before you step in, we're actually gonna call that an evening for today, and we will pick up in 2 weeks on the 15th with your exploration of this new room that you have found, and I'm sure everything will go totally fine.
Totally fine.
Everything is what is the Legolas line from Lord of the Rings? It's like the dead hold it, and or like this place has long been taken by the dead, and the dead whatever the line is, like that's what's going through my mind for this.
From
it's
Return of the King, where they're on the paths of the dead. Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm
and it's
embarrassed I can't remember that exact quote. And that's my least favorite of the trilogy, so.
I think mostly unnerved by the fact that this is deserted, but there's no thick blanket of dust carpeting everything. That's what scares me more than anything else.
Yeah, that makes it more unnerving.
It's too normal.
How is this accomplished? It's too clean.
I don't perceive shit, but the nice thing about this 18 intelligence is I'm putting clues together, and I'm just
just doing the board of calculations going on through your head, and just
there's lots of
doing
math.
the math
It's
on this.
true.
Yes. Okay.
I'm just really,
All right, so sorry that I kept us a little bit late for tonight. Real quick before we leave, I just want to give everybody a chance to go around, remind us where who you are, where we can find you on the internets. I think we might be missing Tyler right now, so we'll see if maybe they can come back before we finish. We'll start again with Angela. Sorry, I almost called you Ania.
I mean, both are appropriate. Hello there again, everybody. I'm Angela, so you can find me, I didn't say this earlier, on Twitter at Phoenix24Fem, and you can find me in these various projects. I am one half of the Queerly Yours podcast, which is a trans polyamorous couple, including myself, talking about various relationship issues, and we've been together for 8 years, so we have some insight, I guess, at this point about how to do a relationship. I am a content writer for Art for Ourselves, which is an online media publication made up entirely of QTPOC staff. I'm trying to think what else. I am a DM for Adventures in Agni over on the Welcome to the Party Twitch channel that happens Saturday nights at 7:30. I remember 7:30 PST is when we start and then run. So I think that's 10:30 EST. And I'm also a poet and a writer with a Patreon at Philosophem. And also, if you're looking to have a theme custom made for either your TTRPG campaign or your website, I also act as a composer, a freelance composer for those purposes as well. So if you need me, hit me up in DMs and such, because I do good shit. But that's me.
That's awesome. All right, going down then to Vince.
All right. Well, as I mentioned before, you can follow me on Twitter at Dichotomous Prime. I right now am primarily working on some homebrew stuff. Sam's seen one of the things that I kind of work on a little bit.
Seems fun.
But I am primarily a GM for hire, so if you're one of those myriad people who want to dip their toes into playing tabletop role-playing games but can't find a DM to run one for you, hit me up in DMs and we can figure something out. All about the collaborative storytelling, and should be lots and lots of fun.
Awesome. And then we're gonna keep going with Amy.
It me.
It you.
You can follow me at AmyLiz_W on Twitter. I'm also known as Raptor Queen in some places. I don't have a lot to plug except I do art. I do commissions sometimes. I'm going to be opening up for Halloween icons pretty soon, so you can keep an eye out for that. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. And Anna.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Nymeria941. I also make videos on YouTube about books and games and tabletop RPGs, just under my name, Anna Goldberg. I also work as a co-host and co-founder of the Disability Readathon, which is happening this month. If you follow me on Twitter, you're just going to hear me screaming about that and how excited I am. And I newly work with ASL for RPG, so you can learn more about them. Also on Twitter at ASL RPG.
That's awesome. I only recently actually discovered ASL RPG, and I love it. That's really awesome.
It's
I didn't know
really
you worked with
exciting.
them. That's really cool.
Very newly, yeah. Tyler actually was the one that was like, hey, come work with us. And I was like, yay, I will.
That's awesome. All right, and it does look like unfortunately we lost Tyler due to some technical issues, so real quick I will let you know that you can find them at Tyler_Moonsage. I do know that they also help to manage the Dots RPG project, which is a nonprofit that focuses on improving accessibility in gaming. I do know that they make some braille dice and some other accessibility gaming aids, so you can follow them on Twitter at DotsRPG, DOTSRPG, all one word. They do some really awesome stuff. You should definitely check them out. And then that just leaves you all with me real quick. I am Sam. I go by at Samwise_GameG here on Twitch and Twitter. I'm a chronic illness disability advocate and a TTRPG streamer. I am on a bunch of projects right now. Tomorrow you'll be able to see me over at the Chromatic Chimera, where I am in a homebrew 5e game called Agora's Bells. I will be playing a Tabaxi Rogue in that, actually, so check that out for some ridiculous Tabaxi swashbuckler shenanigans. I might actually get murdered by my character's family tomorrow. We'll find out. It'll be fine. Yeah, come watch to find out. And then on Thursday, also at Chromatic Chimera, I'm going to be in Sailor Scouts Go, which is the original 1998, I believe, Sailor Moon TTRPG. We are going to the Silver Millennium for our finale. It's going to be awesome. And on Friday, I'm in Courts of the Shadowfey over at Variant Roles. Saturdays, you can see me right here at Heroes Without Limits and Lost Minds of Phandelver. And on Mondays, I am in Ravnica Under Fire over at Encounter Roleplay. And that's what I do. I'm also in a podcast of Cult Divinity Lost over at Mud and Blood Podcast that is going to be releasing actually on Halloween. It's going to be spooky and awesome, and I can't wait for everybody to hear it. So that is going to be it for us tonight. We will be back, not next Tuesday, the following Tuesday, October 15th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's New York time. And in the meantime, please make sure to follow us here at Heroes Without Limits. We are actually running a dice giveaway when we reach 100 Twitch followers. Additionally, we are running a fundraiser for Take This, a nonprofit to help destigmatize mental health and connect gamers with mental health resources. So that's it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope everybody has a wonderful and spooky start to October. We will see you in 2 weeks.